All right, last thing, we'll wrap it up here. What would you guys have wanted to see change, or what would you have done differently with this movie? We've covered pretty much everything, but if there was anything overall that you're like, I didn't say this or talk about this, go ahead and go. I'm going to take off my hoodie real quick. We'll start with Matt.
Okay, my biggest complaint out of everything is the way they did Hulk. And I like I said, I like Professor Hulk. It's kind of cool. Like the fun, it was like a little banter. They didn't show how he got there. It's like all of a sudden you have a big smart Banner sitting there eating a lot of food. Like, okay, but it's like, okay, that's happening. But then my biggest thing is like, because isn't that the whole point? The Hulk can take a whole bunch of brute force, and he just regenerates, or he gets bigger and stronger. He gets angry, right? Isn't that the whole thing with the Hulk? Am I right, Aaron?
Yes.
Yeah.
The angrier he gets, the stronger he gets.
Yeah, exactly. And so originally when I came into World Breaker Hulk would show up. That'd be cool, or anything like that. So we got Professor Hulk, but he gets on the gauntlet, and he does a snap, but he's all that damage has been inflicted to him. I'm like, and I understand he's not pure Hulked out, but that was the thing. I just wish they did Hulk differently.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would do him differently, but I just wasn't happy with that.
I feel like there needed to be a release. I think you're right, to where exactly what you're saying. I think they were right on, and maybe they cut it for time. I don't know, but I feel like they could have at least shown him roid out or Hulk out and just go nuts and just start ripping enemies apart on the massive battlefield after taking that blast and hit. That's a good one.
I wanted that Thanos versus Hulk rematch.
Yeah. I think they didn't get that. Ken, what about you? What would you change?
Can you do me last? I don't think about this.
Sure. Aaron, go ahead.
So
remember, I'm a 10 out of 10 in this movie. Okay, so I got to figure out what
you could just say nothing. That's fine if you think.
It's a perfect movie.
I'm still thinking. Go ahead.
You don't have to. It doesn't make you a better person if you think of one.
I
But.
understand.
This was your time, Ken. You wasted it.
yeah, you lost at the end.
Go ahead, Aaron.
So what the main thing that I would change is the way that is Cap's story. He should have died getting the Soul Stone. His ending was just pure disgustingness for his character, and Alan kind of said a little bit of what I thought about. So let me use my time by saying when Steve Rogers just made the choice to leave the present day, that means he became a coward. He left his job to go be with Peggy. Okay, step one in Winter Soldier, Peggy said, "I moved on. You need to move on. I got married. I had kids. I'm making the choice to go back in time." He killed all of her kids. He took away the life that belonged to another man for his own selfish reasons, which is not something Cap has done since before he got the truth serum. Nothing was about him, right? So he took someone else's life. Hold on, let me finish. This is my time. He went back in time, right? Let's talk about him going back in time. Okay, the entire time that he was back in time, Bucky was being tortured, and he was going out and murdering people. He murdered Tony's parents. Steve allowed to happen. He allowed him to be tortured. He allowed 9/11. He allowed all of this insanity to go on in the earth that he could have stopped, all because he wanted to dance. It's not conducive to his character at all. It's not confirmed that she was married. Yes, it was. She said it on her deathbed.
He had a ring on his finger. He had a ring on his finger.
No. That he married Peggy.
Of course.
It's assumed.
It's assumed. But you're saying he's a coward for going back and stealing it.
Yes.
But if we're going to stick with that theory that it's against his character, it's not confirmed that he did it.
Well, that's what he did.
Maybe
if you're saying it's so untrue,
maybe he danced with her, let her go on, and then married her later on after her husband died.
Wow. He made the choice when he saw her in the 1970s, and he saw that she still had a picture of him on the desk. That's when he made the decision: if I survive this, I'm going to go marry that woman.
But you're saying to the core, it's against his core character to steal.
His job was not done. His job was not done.
To steal the wife of another man, it's not confirmed that he married her. So it could still be true that she continued her life, had her kids, got married and all that, and then maybe they got together later, or maybe he married someone else, or maybe he lived out a different life.
Yeah.
It's fair. It's fair to assume. It's fair to assume that it was Peggy, right? I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, if your argument is it's completely against his character, well then the argument against it is it's not confirmed.
Then take Peggy's name. Then take Peggy's name out and put some other lady that he meets that probably married someone else and had another life with another person on the original timeline.
What if you got Peggy to go back in time and create a second version of herself so she could continue?
All the issues
You're twisting the point because you know that I'm right. Because his character, his job was not done in present day. His job was
agree with that. But didn't he go back in time, and by doing that, he created a different timeline? They said that basically you're not changing the past. You're basically creating a new present and future based on
until the old version showed up.
Yeah,
Right.
and then it broke all the laws. Yeah, which again, this is
Oh!
where Ken just got what we said at the very beginning.
Right.
Ken, don't hurt yourself.
It would have
Oh,
not
it's not a perfect movie now,
We
right?
talked about that for like
Ken's
15
like
minutes.
9 out of 10.
Yeah, that's why
Those are
that's
things
why
that
the movie was stupid, because he should have died because he had nothing else to live for, because he's a man out of time. His country did not like him because of the stupid accords. He lost Peggy because she's dead, and then it's like boom.
I feel like that would have been such a sad ending for Cap.
Well, no, because he saved the world. Like my whole, for me, you should take up the time travel and throw it out the window.
Yeah.
It should have gone back after the time stone in a different way.
Wait till it's my turn and I'll tell you, and I think I can fix this whole movie.
Okay.
But yeah, but no, I'm just curious. Last thing I want to ask you, what did he still need to do? Because you said he wasn't done. That there was still work to do. Was it literally just to die, or what?
No, his life. No. Let's just say that what happened.
Phase 4 villains.
No. Phase 4 villains. But ultimately, his job was still here in the present day.
Okay, so
Because this is where he belonged.
Okay, but wouldn't that?
friends, new family. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Well, I mean, Peggy's niece he kissed in
That's
Civil
true.
War, or
She doesn't need to know that though. That was in a different timeline in the future. That she
I'm
died
just saying
before.
that she gave. Well, Peggy gave him permission to move on. So when he moved on to this pretty hot chick that was probably still dating him even after the happening.
Yeah.
That's now his granddaughter.
Yeah, that's actually his granddaughter.
That was her niece. That was her niece.
Yeah. Maybe that's who Cap married was. He's like, hey, if I can't get Peggy, go for the family.
He went back for the baby. He imprinted on her.
All right, Alan, we'll go to you. And I'll give my thought.
For me, what I would change, I kind of said it all, but I would take the dusting, put that at the beginning of this movie. I would take out a lot of the kind of jokes, the bigger jokes, the momentum stopping jokes. I'd take those out. I would take Captain off the seat and probably have a completely different heist. I don't mind the heist.
Yeah.
I don't like the time travel. I think having the stones be separated from Thanos, it was a smart move. But I think Thanos should have been hunting down the stones. Them should have been hunting down the stones now that they're aware of them and trying to acquire them in a different way. Because when they went through the heist, it felt like we'd already seen everything. We kind of already knew the end of the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
We knew where certain things were, and it was just kind of.
very
It didn't
predictable.
feel like it. Yeah, it didn't feel like it meant very much.
Yeah.
And they overcame every obstacle way too easy.
Yeah.
So I think there's like a lot of small little tweaks
Yeah.
that would have really made this movie better. But overall, I think it's fine. I give it, with a 5 being completely average movie, I give this a 7. So it's not bad in any light. It's just not amazing that I was expecting.
Wait a minute. I thought you were negative 5 to 5. What happened?
He was giving it for us common folks.
I'm trying to work for you.
How
He
dare
was
you?
being magnanimous.
All right.
Kind of being out of character, right? But he was doing a nice thing.
Ken, your face
I
is
feel like he
frozen.
broke his own
Your
timer.
face is frozen, Ken, and I love it.
You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
But your face is just. You'll see it on
Oh,
the
no, I did wrong.
I don't know.
No, I did. I didn't mean to do that, but I didn't mean that have to happen. But
There you go.
Wait,
We're back
don't
to
fix it yet. Oh.
Okay, so this is, I'm not going to lie. I think the whole reason I wanted to end up doing this video was so that I could say all this, write it down. At least, not write it down, but at least get it out on video. And then for you guys to tear it apart, and probably. Because I didn't get the validation when I told my wife this when we were driving in the car, I think yesterday.
This is a dumb idea.
It's not doing it. It's been my thought from the beginning, and this is what, for me, would have solved a lot of issues in the movie and made it, for me, a more 10 out of 10 movie. Again, granted, arrogance because it's my own thoughts, but you guys, maybe you'll see something that I don't with this. So here's what I think. I think the beginning, aside from the small things that we talked about, stayed the same, right? Everything happens the same way it does, all the way up to the Avengers who are here going and killing Thanos and realizing they can't go back. It's not possible. The stones are gone in their reality. Fast forward then to 5 years later, we see what's all going on with the Avengers, what their lives are. But instead of a stupid rat coming and just randomly walking over a thing, the thing that releases Ant-Man, the control board. Instead, we see Ant-Man pop back out, kind of like we were saying there. He meets some scientists there who had been trying to mess with it. He doesn't know where he's at, so he freaks out. They say, "Hey, no, just chill out." We have a reminiscent moment of Cap, of like when Cap came to the future, but now it's Ant-Man coming to the future. He busts out of there. He goes. He's looking around to where he's at. He sees he's at the Avengers Tower, and we get this twist in that moment where he goes looking for the heroes, and he runs to the room that we just saw all our heroes that had survived: Thor, Captain America, Black Widow, all of them. But when he runs into that meeting room, who we're greeted by isn't the Avengers that we had seen that had made it 5 years, but rather all the other heroes that got snapped. And we don't get it. We don't understand. So he comes out in a different universe. We go back to the other characters. We don't really fully know what's going on there. And then we cut back eventually later on. A lot of the other same stuff happens there. And we find out when it cuts back to Ant-Man, and there's Black Panther, there's Shuri, there's who I'm trying to think who else got snapped there. Bucky, Spider-Man. We see whoever is in that room. Falcon, all those guys. Well, no, Falcon lived. But anyways, you guys get the point. All the people who were snapped, they're working together and they're trying to think of a way to go back in time or to do something. And they thought of you have people like Wasp and her dad who were trying to get Ant-Man, thinking that Ant-Man got dusted, or trying to use this pin particle thing. They come up with the idea. Ant-Man does the same thing. He realizes and says, "Hey guys, it's been 5 years for you. It's been 5 minutes for me." They get then on that route of, let's try to see if we can go back in time. We get all the silly things again of the same gag of Ant-Man turning old and then young, whatever. And then finally they send him in. And where he goes, he doesn't come back right away. But then he gets teleported into the same room in the Avengers Tower, just now in the universe that we know. And he's with Cap and he's with all of them. He realizes what they discovered isn't that time travel is a real thing, but that a multiverse is a real thing. And that he is able to relay the message that because they didn't have Captain Marvel to come and answer Fury's signal call, that they never went in this parallel universe to Thanos. Thanos never snapped. They never got the radar. Things just are a little different there. And the stones are still there in the other universe. The only thing they've gathered together is that they can't undo the snap, but they can go and defeat Thanos in this other world. They decide to try to team up and try to see if they can get the stones anyways to bring everybody back together. Maybe they don't know that the stones won't bring everyone back, but they decide to go to this other world, try to get all the stones, let them know where Thanos is because they already killed him, and try to stop the stones from getting destroyed. They're able to some of them, not all of them, go, and we follow the main Avengers go and try to take the stones back again. They collect it that way in this parallel universe. They try to snap to bring everyone back together in their universe, only to realize the stones don't work outside, because that's comic related. They don't work in a different universe. And so Thanos figures out a way to come get the gems again to stop them from trying to do anything else. They try snapping Thanos. That doesn't work because whatever. And instead, Hulk in that moment decides to snap. And instead of wishing everybody back who is dead, thinks of, because he's the smart Hulk now, snaps and makes it that the two worlds, parallel universes, collide into one, and we get the same type of fight scene, same type of ending, but instead of everybody coming back from the snap, it's this new world now where they've all lived 5 years apart. There's been different things that have changed. Everything is pretty much the same, but just 5 years difference now, where everybody's back in the universe and characters are just a little bit different. And they defeat Thanos the same way. Time travel's never an option, but now this one pathway that they had through the microverse is a combined universe now, and they're able to bring back all the people aside from the people that died at that well thing. And that way you never have to go to Black Widow dying. You never have to. The only people that are really dead are people like Loki, people like Gamora that died in that way. What do you guys think? Horrible idea? Better than that?
No.
It's not a terrible idea. The only problem is it's not a wrap up for the main character, right? This was a send off. This was a bookend for the original 6.
For Iron Man, for Captain America.
But you could still do all of those same things. I think it would change Cap's ending for sure of what happens.
It would distract
or who's?
I think maybe if he was the one who got the glove on and snapped instead and was able to bring everybody back, or I guess it would still have to be Iron Man to wrap up his story.
Yeah, it would just be hard. It would be so cluttered with so many characters going between the two, with one group doing a heist and the other group doing a heist. But it's not. It's better than time travel. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
They wrote themselves into a corner and have struggled to get out of it.
Because I feel like at the end of the day, with the time travel thing, they've essentially opened up the same thing of multiple universe or whatever else. When just make that the thing, just don't add in time travel because, like I said, it just loses the weight of everything. Just say now, and at least in this movie, the two worlds become one. Iron Man still goes out the same way. Cap could even please Aaron and still go on for future movies. You know,
I think the problem with the multiverse is it's gonna take a long time to establish it. It's gonna take. It's like I said. It's gonna need a long runway, and to throw that into here would have been, especially to like general audience who don't read the comics, don't have any idea about it, would have been too jarring. And so time travel was their best choice. Now, narratively, structurally, was it good? No. I think it's a bad thing, a bad out. But I think the reason why they didn't go with the multiverse is because it would have been like whiplash, trying to process where everything is. Now the characters you actually know are dead. You have the second universe who are still alive. Are they the same? Do they have difference? Like,
I think that's what season 4 goes on to explore. Who are these characters now after they've spent 5 years thinking that the rest of their teams have been dead? How are the Guardians going to mesh together now? Because granted, like I said, everything up until this is a parallel universe where everything up until the snap was the exact same, and that was where it rifted into two different universes where we have one where the main cast lived and one where the new people lived. And you just have, I would just say Cap retire or be like the new Fury or whatever, you know? I don't know. I think there could have been a better ending in that way.
What's interesting is, I mean, obviously, because of talking to the Ancient One, we now know the possibility that maybe Cap might have messed up. Okay, he didn't get all those stones back in the right spot. The idea of
Loki.
Well, yeah, there's the possibility of now multiverses. So you're right. If given the idea that you're going to introduce the idea of multiverses, then why not just make that the story instead of doing a time travel thing? Because the one thing that Scott Lang did, right? He says, my 5 hours, by the way, it's 5 hours, okay? My 5 hours were your 5 years. That was slowing down of time. It never talked about, reversing time. So we know the Flash has a tendency to go into the speed force, right? And he can go back in time when it's so fast. The idea of going back in time because you're in a micro quantum realm is one thing, but the idea of generating a separate multiverse, that's a little bit different, possibly,
Mm-hmm.
I thought you said forget DC. What happened to that?
Well, when he found out that Aquaman made $1.1 billion worldwide, he's like, welcome back.
I just think it could have utilized Bruce Banner more, as well as Shuri, and it could have been a better explainer on, instead of Tony Stark figuring out time travel in 5 minutes after dinner, having all of the heroes, the smart heroes, working together from two different universes, and Ant-Man being the only one that figured out how to ping back and forth and working with them to get the stones.
Well, one of the things that I did during my time is I just trashed the ending of Captain America. But like what I would do to have changed the film is it could have been like a chase kind of flick, because like I said earlier, Thanos would have been smart enough to use the Reality Stone. So 5 years could have passed still, and then someone realized, Captain Marvel could have been flying around and found out that Thanos was still killing people with the Infinity Stones, and then they could have went after him from that perspective, and Thanos and all this smartness could have returned the Soul Stone to Vormir or whatever it was called, and that would have led up to the point where Iron Man and Cap showed up, where Cap was like, "It's my time, Tony. You've got a wife and kid. Go back to them and let me save everybody." Because in the comic book world, when Thanos snapped, or whoever snapped, all the souls went actually into the Soul Stone, and that's where the speculation came at the end of Infinity War, when Thanos snapped and he went into that orange world.
Yeah.
Like that's where Gamora's soul was, because she was sacrificed, and that's where her soul remained inside of the stone.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I thought it was weird Death never showed up, because that was
Right.
the assumption, was Gamora was embodying Death.
But ultimately the point would be like Cap goes into the Soul Stone to get everybody out, and he stays there in place of everyone.
Yeah.
And then later on, if Chris wanted to come back, then they could say, someone else gets him out that way.
Yeah. Oh, that was. Go ahead.
Anything would have been better than time travel.
Yeah, that was where with the Thanos from the universe that didn't have Captain Marvel, Universe B, he would have been figured it out, used the stone still to go back and to kill Ant-Man, to be able to cross into multiverse, because he has the Reality Stone, to change reality, to go to their universe and again fight all them there. That was part of what I was thinking, but.
Obviously, you can, there's two arguments here, I think, right? There's the structural way you do things, to how you tell a story, versus what do you do to get you the most satisfaction of closing the loop and finishing the 22 movies. I keep thinking that the whole time travel allowed for them to jump back through different points in the storyline of the whole Avengers, the 22 movies. You got a chance to replace like the remembrance type thing, New York in 2014, the soul thing that to Gamora, right? Different things like that. That's why I'm thinking that it makes a good plot device. It may not necessarily be a good story type of device to use.
See, and to me, I would have rather them figure out, as they're trying to get to the other multiverse, them accidentally, to split it up more and to have not everybody together necessarily, instead of all of them going to different time eras, just to them go to a different multiverse or something, just for like a minute, just to kind of give some fan service to other comic books, or to have like a scene of somewhere else from a different storyline where, Falcon is Cap or Bucky's Cap, instead of really addressing who's going to become the next Cap. Just show a clip where Captain America meets Bucky, but as Captain America or whatever, That would have been cooler to me, to see the alternatives, or the Guardians cast from the original Guardians, a parallel universe where they're currently the Guardians of the Galaxy instead, or vice versa, or where Loki and Thor switch places, a universe in Asgard where they're switch places in, or whatever. I don't know. Or Old Man.
I think that's all coming.
Yeah.
I think that's all.
I would have loved if they just gave me a glimpse of that, instead of giving me time travel of back to the Battle of New York. Just give me like a 5-second clip of like what they saw instead when they tried to jump universes, and Ant-Man tried to take them and it failed.
The reason, ultimately, is their priority was to say goodbye to Robert Downey Jr. and to Chris Evans. They wanted the audience to feel like, but it was like, this is the end. Here, they ended it with them signing off, like literally signing.
Yeah, wasn't that great? I love the end credit scene for all those signatures.
And so I think they sacrificed storytelling to do that. And I don't mind so much. It just, if I'm looking at it as a movie, it didn't really work. If I'm looking at it as an emotional thing, they needed to go harder into it. And so riding the line between the two is where they kind of failed for me. They needed to choose one, either tell a great story or say goodbye, and then go full on into one of those. But because they tried to straddle it, they weakened both.
Yeah, which gives it for me an 8.
I still think 10, but
You still think 10 out of 10, even though we did
Yeah.
Jedi mind tricks on you?
Well,
and
you're
made
right.
you explode?
no, you guys brought up very good points, and I think we're all legitimate thoughts, I still think they did a good job with the movie. I mean,
So is it
Iron Man
perfect?
saga.
Is
So
it
you saying
perfect?
10 out of 10 means it's
Okay.
perfect. They wouldn't
Yeah.
change anything. You still never gave an answer. 'cause you said
Right,
something-
9.
About
9.5 out of 10. I can't think of anything. It's like the only biggest thing I had issue with, like what Aaron was saying about him going into the past, right? Did he actually replace Becky's life, her kids and her grandkids? If you consider that as a parallel universe, right? Then no. But you're right. Otherwise, yeah, you just wiped out. He just effectively wiped out the idea of another marriage with kids and grandkids of Peggy's life.
The butterfly effect. And you don't know how far that would go.
And Captain wouldn't do that. He
Right.
And had they not put him on that bench, it would have solved that problem.
Yeah, because we wouldn't
Yeah,
have known.
true,
Because
'cause
he
yeah,
left a note with the
Yeah.
shield.
I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't thought about the fact that you guys are right in that if I was
You haven't thought about it, right?
multiverses,
I was right.
multiverses, he would not have been there because he was in the same verse. All her kids and grandkids are gone.
And he let Bucky be tortured for years and years and years and murder hundreds of thousands of people.
Getting off the captain for one sec, the thing I think which annoyed me the most after that was two things. One was they were like, hey, this is the only device, and I was like, okay, at least they're not going crazy and being like, hey, we have this time machine from now on because Thanos destroys it. But then, like, literally 5 seconds later, after they're like, this is the only time traveling machine we have, they have another one built that Captain America's standing on. And I'm like, okay, well, apparently.
Well, it's because Hank Pym is back.
Yeah. Which, okay, I gave that a chance. What really bothered me, and what still bothers me now, and I don't know, I'm hoping maybe Far From Home will explain this, but the reality was 5 years had gone by. People have aged. And when you're in high school, you age pretty rapidly. Puberty hits you pretty hard. And we're supposed to somehow believe that from the trailers that we've seen of Far From Home, unless they've just edited some things that which doesn't make sense, that all of Peter's friends and that there's a supporting cast from Homecoming all got snapped together and now all came back and they're all the same age. Ned, Zendaya, or Mary Jane, Flash Thompson, all of those guys were part of the 50 that got snapped and are now the same age.
Well, Ned,
That's right.
Let's not assume.
Ned
Let's
even
not
hugs
assume.
him. Ned even hugs him at the end, like,
Yeah.
dude, I've missed you.
Yeah, but he looks exactly the same.
No, I know.
And they're still in high school.
I'm saying
Right. Well,
he
let's not
treats it
assume.
like he knew he was gone.
Yeah.
Not we were both gone
For
and
5
now
seconds.
we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a weird disconnect on that point.
Well, let's not assume that Far From Home takes place immediately after the events of Endgame.
They've already
You wanna
said
know
it
why?
says.
No, they've confirmed it.
Because, right, but when Spider-Man meets Tony in the park, he's like, "Where were you at?" And he's like, "Oh, I was on a field trip."
Field trip.
Field trip. So they went on a field trip far away from home. So let's not assume until we actually see the movie that they're not lying to us. Granted, is there a high probability that it takes place after Endgame? Of course, because that's just the way
Because
it
they
should.
said so.
Well,
You're
but
at
also-
the point where I was before seeing Endgame and hoping that it wasn't going to be time travel. It was going to be multiverse instead.
No. I'm just saying that in the small chance that it does take place before Endgame or Infinity War, then that can explain all of that. Now,
I don't think they'll ever reference it. I think they'll just hope that the audience doesn't
Just-
notice.
Yeah, just forgets about it.
well, the thing that I thought was funny was like everyone got snapped, everybody's back, and the first thing they do is go to school the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. Was the next day? So Peter made a comment, Dave.
He would have. Ned is his best friend. They would have met up way before they were in school, especially if it wasn't the next day.
Yeah.
So Peter was we guess at Stark, right? Mr. Stark, last I remember, I was being dusted. I was dusting, and then next thing I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. You're not there. The Mr. Strange is there. He said it's been 5 years.
Right.
So 5 years has gone by, but they did not have 5 years go by.
Yeah,
So for all of you dusted, did not age right. But you're right, but that assumes a minute. I know this. You guys are a good point that everybody in that school hadn't aged 5 years. So you guys bring a very good point up, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens on Far From Home.
they're not going to reference it. They're going to continue on like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And
They're gonna reference it. It was a worldwide event.
I think the only
they're not going to reference the aging and who was dusted.
Oh.
that's what
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
No.
that- I was gonna say the only person that they might do for the sake of narrative, but never mind, because I just remembered the ending of Homecoming was the girl that Peter takes to the dance, Vulture's daughter.
She's out.
But she was already out from
She's
the
in.
end of the movie. She's like, my
Yeah.
mom's taking me far away, anyways. Yeah, no, but I mean, because we've seen the trailers, and yeah, unless there's the very slim chance, probably slimmer than my multiverse idea for Endgame is that it somehow is beforehand, because yeah, we see them on a school bus in Infinity War. We don't know where they're going to or coming back from, but yeah, then they disappear. Well, no,
You guys have a continuity problem again.
yeah,
It's not so much of a continuity problem. I mean, if Far From Home takes place before Infinity War, does it make it a lesser movie? It just takes place before Infinity War.
It just doesn't make sense for it to take place before Endgame
Right.
or Infinity
doesn't.
War. And I think they're just gonna avoid it. I think completely. I don't think they'll reference
it's
it.
gonna be like a Bruce Banner Hulk, Edward Norton to
Yeah.
Mark
Or-
Ruffalo thing, which like they're just not gonna address
but the
it.
thing,
Don Cheadle
thing is-
and
yeah, but the thing is Ant-Man and the Wasp took place before Infinity War and ended on Infinity War. So
yeah,
I mean,
but they had to establish how they were gonna resolve Infinity, and if you put that out first, or how they're gonna end Endgame. So Captain Marvel was the one that didn't need to come in between, but
Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp did, because they established how they're gonna solve the issue.
Yeah,
I understand that, but it was a story that took place before the snap. So
No,
it's not in the
I-
realm of belief to make Spider-Man before the snap.
It's not impossible, no, but there's no reason for it. There's nothing
I agree.
hinging on that story taking place before.
yeah,
So it's an overcomplication for something that doesn't,
yeah.
on top of something that the producer has come out and said, oh yeah, this takes place after.
Yeah. And I think it could have been easily avoidable if they just would have not included the Ned scene necessarily, and made it seem like he was really missing him. If they just would have been like, oh, cool, we're both back or whatever. And also if in the trailers they had less of the but I guess it's taking out some of the supporting cast. Not like I care about Flash or Flash Thompson or any of those other kids that are there, other
And
than
potentially
Go ahead.
we don't know for sure either. I guess the MJ character could be 5 years older. She could be out of school. It could be
Or she's chaperone?
a point.
Yeah.
She's a teacher now. It could be a point of contention for the story. But yeah, no, I'm saying I think they just are gonna avoid it.
Yeah.
Avoid it.
I think
But-
Zendaya's too big of a character for them to not have her end up being the MJ that the main MJ.
So I'm reading an article here. David April.
Great.
It says Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has kept the MCU timeline under lock and key, but he surprised fans at a recent fan event in Shanghai by confirming that Endgame is not the last in Phase 3 of the MCU.
Yeah,
The upcoming Spider-Man that release is in Phase 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would imply pre-Endgame?
No. It just
No,
means
No?
it's gonna be the wrap up to some of the questions that I think we do have. Yeah, but this is
they've
the
already
wrap
said
up
that
to
they're going to
Endgame.
answer.
They're gonna answer some
Endgame
questions.
was the wrap up for the characters.
Yeah.
Homecoming
Yeah,
is
but
gonna be the wrap up.
I don't. You guys are right. All of his friends can't have all been dusted.
Oh no, that's
Okay?
not true.
Someone has to be 5 years older.
No,
This all blows up, man.
No, because
ruin your 10 out
Hawkeye's...
of 10 movie.
No.
Yes. No, not the movie.
No. In the Hawkeye family, there were 5 of them, and 4 of them got dusted.
Yep.
So it's not all the realm of belief
Yes,
that
it
all
is
of
possible,
his
that's
friends.
So you're saying in that school. Go ahead, Al.
It's gonna be like Guardians, where all the important get dusted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did y'all see that meme where it said Drax had the power to disappear, stand so still, and disappear out of
the most impressive thing in Endgame will be Drax learning Drax invisibility skills. Yeah.
Yeah, because he disappeared out of the inning. He got one moment of stabbing some dude in the back.
That was
it.
Again, if we're nitpicking, that there was a couple of those things in the war part. Not to go all the way back, but for Drax to not even attempt to go for Thanos, to finally get that
Thanos.
Yeah. Yes, but it's Dave Bautista's.
Ken, did you watch this movie?
Yes, I did. I saw Drax
twice.
Yeah, but
I felt like the
Dave Bautista's
return.
fault,
I felt like the return of all the characters was a pretty weak moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if the sound.
That was awesome.
I don't know if the sound in my theater was terrible, but the mixing seemed like that should be a swelling moment. It's building, and then people start coming out, and to me it was so flat, and I was like, "What is going on?"
Maybe your theater sound sucked, but like you got this moment
I mean
where,
that's a
Cap was
high
like,
possibility.
well, the intercom in his head was like kind of crackly, and you hear, "Hey, Cap," and then he's like, "What? What's going on?" He's like, "To your left." And it was such an awesome moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just wish they would have had more of those moments
for me.
For the characters that they've been building and building and building, that their whole motive, Drax's whole motive for joining the Guardians and being on this journey
was
has
Thanos,
been to get revenge for his family that Thanos had killed, and he doesn't get that.
But that's Dave Bautista's fault. Yeah, that's the actor's fault for that.
Is it though? You think there was a scene of that? Because it wasn't that he was going to kill Thanos. You think they just ripped it out of the scene because Disney was mad at him and pissed off?
Well, for a large portion of time, he wasn't going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 at all.
Yeah, well,
but he's not the only one. So just even sticking to Guardians, you also have Gamora, who has Nebula, who as much as I hate her, Nebula, who as much as I didn't like her in this movie, should have gotten the chance to beat down on Thanos a little bit, And if it would have just been like a Guardians coming, the same way we had the females all come together without reason, to have the Guardians come together and beat down on Thanos for just at least a minute, for a scene or two, just to give Nebula the validation of like getting revenge for what he's done to her, and also for Drax to just get some shots in.
Well, Krill would have gone after Thanos for killing Gamora, okay?
Quill with a Q.
Quill, I was like, what?
Who is he talking about?
Yeah.
Fish, right? Krill?
So people might as well just watch the movie for as long as we've been talking about this.
Pretty much.
Seriously,
I'm gonna break this up into
they
like
couldn't get
the non-spoilers,
all
spoilers. Yeah.
Well, you know that one of the things that as soon as Scarlet Witch showed up, I leaned over to my buddy. I'm like, she could just rip him apart. Like, two moves, and then when she started doing it, I started laughing, and I was like, how is Thanos going to get out of this? And of course, she didn't rip him apart. She took her time enough to be like, rain, fire. Come on.
Yeah. Thanos was too strong without the Infinity Stones.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
To
saying.
not be stronger when he had them. Like they made a mistake in one of the movies. He either needed to be weaker in this one, like clearly weaker in this one.
He got his butt kicked in this movie.
He was just
but it was
Infinity War too.
Yeah. He was a
almost
powerful
lost in
character.
Infinity War.
Well, he was getting beat up pretty bad when he started talking to Cap. His face was jacked up.
There was hardly a difference in his ability to defend himself in this one and Infinity War.
Yeah.
Is my point. He was equally as dangerous and equally as vulnerable in both movies, based on what they showed. And I know the idea was Captain, Tony, and Thor are all lesser versions of themselves in this movie, in Endgame, than they were in Infinity War.
Yeah.
But they did not drive that point home strong enough to be like, that's why Thanos is able to keep up, even though he doesn't have the Infinity
Well, they're older and Thanos is younger.
But I'm saying they didn't drive that point home.
Yeah.
They don't make that apparently clear.
It's not. Yeah.
Once
It's
again,
like an assumption.
Multiverse
They
Thanos
do
would have been much better.
Oh my gosh! Shut up.
They do, because this movie takes place 5 years in the future, and Thanos came from like 6 years in the past.
Oh, it was 9 years.
No,
Or 9 years in the past.
I understand that. I'm saying the movie didn't clarify the reason why Thanos is doing as well as he would have done with the Infinity Stones is because of the age difference, is because of the weaknesses. It's not something that they drove home. They just
Because Thor's fat.
Yeah.
And
he's
Thor's
equally a threat. He's equally a threat in this as he was in the other, and that should not have happened, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. 9.5 out of 10.
We're lowering them. If we had more time,
Good.
we could get you
I'm
down.
glad to
Well,
have
if
helped ruin this for you.
If given 10's perfect, it's not perfect. I thought it was a really decent movie. It's a movie that I've seen twice, and I'm going to go see. I'm really going to go see it again. Especially given all you guys have talked about. See a little more.
He's gonna come back with an 8.
He's gonna take a notebook. He's gonna be here's something
I'll
you
come
got.
back with an 8, and then I will say, I hate you all forever.
He's gonna come back and re-listen to this podcast and be like, "Oh,
When did they? Yeah, he's gonna rewatch the parts where he was reading an article just to tell us what we already do.
Yeah.
God, that's what they're saying.
did you guys know
Good.
that this was a send-off to Iron Man?" That's what Ken was telling me and Matt before we started.
I said that. I said it's the Iron Man saga.
It's the Infinity War saga.
No, it's the Iron Man saga.
The
First movie,
Infinity
first movie
Stones.
22 years ago was Iron Man.
22 years
22
ago,
years ago.
dang.
Dang.
No,
22 years
movies
ago and 10 movies.
10 movies.
Well, I
Alright,
think
let's wrap this up.
we did a pretty fine job. Yeah, I think we picked apart most. If anyone watches this, I'm gonna probably have to edit this and break it up into multiple parts. But if anyone watches all of these, and you still find something we missed, let us know, and yeah, then we can talk about that further. But I think we did a great job.
Love to hear it.
We were aiming for 45 minutes. I think this ended up being like over 2 hours. My wife is
2
going.
hours
Yeah,
and 20 minutes?
Yeah.
No, I clocked it in at 51 minutes.
There you go. Exactly. You could pretty much
You're clocking it wrong.
you could choose to go see Endgame again or to watch the full thing of this. And if you do, Ken will
No,
buy you a
let this be
computer.
commentary.
That's what we should do. That's what we should do when the movie comes out on DVD or Blu-ray. We should sit down and do a commentary on this
We can't. That's what we need to do. I don't know how to do that necessarily. I wanted to do that
right here.
for all the other movies.
Screen
Oh,
share.
you mean
Yeah,
to
it's-
watch it?
How do you watch it and talk
And as
about
they're
it
watching it,
without
Oh.
piracy or whatever?
Screen share.
No. What we do is we tell everyone inside of GMA on Friday, September, whatever.
Let's
we're
wrap
gonna
this up and
watch.
then figure this out.
Yeah. There we go.
How
Fine.
dare you interrupt me, sir?
All right. Well, guys.
Before we wrap this up, Alan, I love you 3000.
I love you, -4, Aaron.
You're back to 0. You mean nothing to me.
All right. Well, thank you guys again. Like I said, we were hoping 45 minutes. This ended up being 2 hours, 20 minutes. We'll see how this breaks out, and hopefully someone will watch it. If not, this is just absolutely fun to just do and decompress all this with you guys. So thank
We
you.
can talk.
we can talk. I know.
See, so I'll leave it at this. I only wanted 2 of you, and Matt invited all of you. So I won't say who are the 2 that I wanted.
I was number 1 on the list.
No, I'm just kidding.
Team Toxic Alan, definitely not there.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. But thank you guys so much for all your thoughts.
But not really.
I'm excited to break this up again and probably rewatch some of this to hear your thoughts and then argue with you more about it and why the multiverse was the right option. I'm thinking I'll plug all your guys' stuff at the bottom because I don't want to go through everybody and waste more time. But just look in the description if you guys want to see any of these guys. If you're like, hey, that Aaron guy was totally wrong about everything, but he has a cool gauntlet. I'll leave a link to where you can find him. Same thing with Alan and his Facebook and his MySpace. No,
MySpace. Thank you.
that's all I'm gonna link.
Multiple personalities.
No, I'll link your YouTube and your Twitch account as well. Matt, I'll link yours. Ken, I'll link yours. I think we're officially. That wraps up this. So thank you guys. I'm just gonna end it
Amen.
right here, and that is it. We are done. Now we can talk about whatever.